Now we're going to add and subtract sign numbers. So this is our number line. Our positives are to the right, our negatives are to the left. 0 has no sign. 0 is not positive, 0 is not negative. If I start with two positives, let's say I have 2 plus 3. We know the answer is 5, but if I think of it algebraically, no sign in front means it's positive. I start with the 2. Positive is to the right, negative is to the left. So I start with 2, and I go 1, 2, 3. I end up with 5. Let's say I take two negatives. Let's say I take -4, -5. Now some of you have learned it with double signs where you change the sign, which is fine because we're really adding. But I don't have to. This is -1. Negative is to the left. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I end up with -6. All right, we'll do two more. Let's say I have -4, -1. That means I'm at -4. I go -1. I'm going to end up with -5. We'll do two positives. Let's say I have a 1 plus 3. That means I start at 1, and I go 1, 2, 3. I end up with 4. So, to get our rule, because we're not going to add and subtract using a number line all the time, it takes too long. We're going to add and subtract all the time. So I have to come up with a rule. So, to add and subtract sign numbers, I break it up into two categories: like signs and unlike signs. If the signs are alike, which they are, here I got plus, here I had two minuses, here I had two minuses, here I got two pluses. So I got to come up with a rule. If I have like signs, which I do over here, 2 and 3 I get a 5, 1 and 5 I get a 6, 4 and 1 I get a 5, 3 and 1 I get a 4. So I got to look and see what did I do to the numbers. It looked like I added my digits. So if I have like signs, I add, then I got to worry about the sign. Here I got a plus, here I got a minus, here I got a minus, here I got a plus. So I got to look and come up with a rule. What I did is I added and I keep the same sign. Now we got to go to if the signs are different. Let's say I have 6 minus 2 or 6 negative 2. Now I'm still really adding. The only true form of subtraction is a minus in front of parentheses, which we do next. But this means I start with a 6, I go 2 this way, I end up with 4. All right, let's cross the 0. Let's say I have 5, -8. I start with 5, I go to the left 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I end up with -3. Let's say I'm over here, and let's say I start with -4 and I add 2. Now I have different signs. I have -4, I go plus 2, I end up with -2. Now we'll cross the 0. Let's say I have -1 plus 7. So I'm at -1, I got to go 7 this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I end up with a 6. So now I have to come up with a rule if the signs are different. Here they're different. Plus, minus, plus, minus, minus, plus, minus, plus. So if the signs are different, what did I do? 2 and 6, I got a 4. 5 and 8, I got a 3. 2 and 4, I got a 2. 1 and 7, I got a 6. So it looks like I subtracted. So I have unlike signs. I'm going to subtract. Then I got to worry about my sign. Here I got a plus. Here I got a minus. Here I got a minus. Here I got a plus. So what I did is I took the sign of the larger digit. In other words, I took the sign of the 6, I took the sign of the 8, I took the sign of the 4, I took the sign of the 7. So I subtract and take sign of larger. So now, you have to know this fabulous through the whole course. There is no part credit for a sign mistake. Everything we do has sign. So, to memorize something, just say it out loud, say it over to yourself like 10 times. If you have trouble, put this on a 3x5 card. Put it on the refrigerator. Every time you walk by, say the rule. If the signs are alike, add and take the same sign. If the signs are different, subtract, take the sign of the larger. Another way to remember is like signs. Think of it as alike, starting with an A, and you'll know alike means add, different means subtract. So I'll say it 2 more times. If the signs are alike, add and take the same sign. If the signs are different, subtract, take the sign of the larger. If the signs are alike, add and take the same sign. If the signs are different, subtract, take the sign of the larger. So now we have to practice. So let's say I have -7 plus 1, -2, -3, 5, -1, -8, -2, 6 plus 1, -5, -4, -5 plus 2, and one more. -6 plus 6. All right, so here we go. For every one, I can't guess. I got to know. If the signs are like add, if the signs are different, subtract. I look at this one. My signs are different. So what should I do? Subtract. Different, subtract. Alike, add. So different is subtract. And I got to get the right sign. I take the sign of the larger. This one. My signs are alike. Add and take the same sign. So it's going to be a 5, and I take the same sign. Again, some of you know some algebra. Don't mix it up with multiplication. That's totally different. That's a different rule. I'm over here. The signs are different. Different means subtract. Take the sign of the larger, so it's plus. The signs are alike. Alike means add. Add, take the same sign. The signs are alike. Add, same sign. The signs are alike. Add, same sign. The signs are different. Subtract, take the sign of the larger digit. The signs are different. Subtract. So this is the only one somebody might have got wrong. Anything plus or minus itself or got to subtract is 0. And 0 has no sign. All right, let me just give you 4 to do to make sure. -15 plus 1, -10, -1. -6 plus 5. -1 plus 10. Okay. So here we go. The signs are different. Should I add or subtract? Subtract. Different means subtract. Take the sign of the larger digit. Alike means add. So we're going to have 11. Same sign. My signs are different. Subtract. Take the sign of the larger. My signs are different. Subtract. Take the sign of the larger. Now that we added sign numbers 2 terms at a time, we have to do ones that are a little longer. Let's say I have this. -3, -4, +1, -5, +2. Now, I could do it left to right. I could combine these, get -7. I'm going to copy everything else over. I could combine these two. Subtract, take the sign of the larger. I could combine these two. Signs are alike. And I get -9. But I could do it a faster way, and some of you might know. I could group like signs. In other words, this is a negative, this is a negative, this is a negative. So we know that if the signs are alike, add, right? So I got 7 and 5, so I got 12 of these negatives. I know if the signs are alike, add, I can combine my pluses, and I get a +3. Now my signs are different. Subtract, take the sign of the larger, and it's just much faster. Let's do another one. 2, -1, -4, +6, -5. So what I'm going to do is group like signs. Group my negatives, group my positives. So there's a -1, a -4, and -5. That means if the signs are alike, add. So I'm going to add my negatives. 5 and 4 is 9 and 1. I have 10 of these negatives. I'm going to combine my 2 and my 6. So now I'm going to get 8 of these positives. Now my signs are different. I'm going to subtract, take the sign of the larger. So let's just do a couple of those. -1 +5, -4 +3. -4, -8 +2, -1. And one more. -6 +5, -2, -1. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is group my like signs. If the signs are alike, add. If the signs are different, subtract. So I'm going to group them. I get -5. I'm going to group these. I get +8. So my answer is 3. I'm going to group these. I have a -4, -8, -1. I can do them in any order. I can go 12 and 1 is 13. I can go 8 and 1 is 9 and 4 is 13. But I'm going to have -13. Then I have a +2. Subtract, take the sign of the larger. I get -11. All right, one more. I group my like signs. I got -6, -2, -1. So 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got -9. I've got a +5. So I'm going to end up with -4. Now we have to add subtraction. So if I have something like this, 2 plus -1, let's say, and -4. So now we have our rule. We had our rule to add and subtract sign numbers. If the signs are alike, add and take the same sign. If the signs are different, subtract and take the sign of the larger. Now, we're just going to add to that. Note. We have to know what to do with a plus in front of parenthesis and a minus in front of parenthesis. Now, it might sound bad in words, but it's not when we do it. When we say simplify in math, we want to make everything smaller. So, I want to remove my parentheses. Then, a plus tells me to keep the sign of what's inside. So I'm going to remove parentheses and keep sign of what's inside. A minus, we said, means the opposite of. So we're going to remove parentheses and we're going to change the sign of what's inside. So, a plus means keep it, a minus means change. All right? A plus means keep, a minus means change. So we're back here. My 2 has nothing to do with parentheses, so it stays. I'm going to have a 1, and I got to decide whether it's positive 1 or negative 1. So what I do, I remove parentheses. I am going to get rid of this sign, but it tells me what to do. A plus says keep, a minus says change. So this plus says keep that. So it stays negative 1. I am going to have a 4. No sign, a plus is understood. So now, I got to decide what to do. I'm going to remove parentheses, and it's the sign outside. We're going to get rid of it, but before we do, it tells us what to do. A minus says change that. So I'm going to get a negative 4, and I forget about this. That's the hard part. Then I just do my thing. I have to combine them. So I have a 2, negative 1. The signs are different. Subtract, take the sign of the larger. I'm going to get a 1. I'm going to get a 1, negative 4. So I have 1, negative 4. I'm going to get a negative 3. Let's do another one. Let's say I have minus a minus 2 plus negative 5. Here's my 2. I got to decide if it's positive or negative. I'm going to remove the parentheses. A minus says change this. So I get a positive 2. So minus says change it. Some of you might have come from a teacher. If you have the double negative, which is fine, I can combine them like this and make it a plus. But I get a plus 2. I'm going to have a 5. Plus says keep, minus says change. This plus says keep, so I keep negative 5. Then I just do my thing. Subtract, take the sign of the larger. I have negative 3. Let's do 2 more. Let's have 8 plus a negative 1, negative 2. My 8 stays. I'm going to have a 1. I have to decide if it's positive or negative. Plus says keep it. It stays negative 1. I have a 2. Minus says change it. Then I just do my thing. 8 minus 1 is going to be a 7. 7 plus 2, I'm going to get a 9. All right, let's do another one. Let's see. Negative 4, negative 1, plus negative 2. My negative 4 stays. I'm going to have a 1. I got to decide if it's positive or negative. Negative says change it. So it's a negative, now it's a positive. I'm going to have a 2. Positive says keep it. So it's a negative 2. Combine these, I get negative 3. Signs are different. Take the sign of the larger. So I'm going to get negative 5. I think you might need 3 more of these for practice. So let's just make sure. Addition and subtraction of sign numbers. So my 8 stays. I have to know that a plus in front of parentheses keeps the sign of everything inside. A minus says change. So again, I'm going to have a 1, and I have to make a decision. Every number has one sign only. So it's either positive or negative. We remove the parentheses, and I am going to remove the sign, but a plus says keep the sign of what's inside. So it stays negative 1. I'm going to have a 2. This minus says change what's inside. Inside is a minus, so this is a plus. Then you have choice. I can go left to right, or I can group like signs. I could combine these, subtract, take the sign of the larger, and get 7 plus 2, and get a 9. Or I could combine like signs and get a 10, negative 1, which gives me a 9. Either one is right. All right, this one. My 6 stays, no sign of plus is understood. I'm going to have a 1, it's either positive or negative. A minus says change what's inside. This says change that, it becomes a plus. I have a 4. A minus says change, I change that to a plus. Now I've got all pluses, so I'm going to get 11. All right, this one, my negative 2 stays. I'm going to have a 1. Negative says change it. I'm going to have a 7. Plus says keep it. Then I can go left to right or group like signs. You have a choice. If I go left to right, subtract, take the sign of the larger. Negative 1, negative 7, signs are alike. Add and take the same sign. Or I could group like signs and get negative 9 plus 1. But either way, I get negative 8. There's one right answer, but different ways to get there.